Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, award-winning Dr. Abati. Congratulations to you, Adefemi and Okpeyemi. Good morning, Ayo. Welcome back. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning to all our viewers. Look, we love Lagos on a Monday morning. Huh? If you look behind me, you can see commerce and activity. There's logistics companies making deliveries for e-commerce firms. There are bankers going to work, interns going to work, manufacturers going to work, and every impacted by interest rates. We're going to get to the Central Bank of Nigeria's MPC decision, which coming tomorrow, but the meeting will start today. So it's Monday morning. You can smell it. You can smell all the activity. But we kick off with oil. We have to kick off with oil. Oil was up last week 5%, Monday through Friday last week. This morning, early trading, we're seeing oil dip just a bit. You can see Brent crude 74.6 down about 70 points. West Texas Intermediate is down about 83 basis points. Natural gas has been climbing because, getting colder in a lot of the world, and so a lot of people require a lot more heat. So you can see natural gas climbing. We got some news this morning that Israel, according to the U.S. Israel ambassador to the U.S., that Hezbollah and Israel are apparently working on some kind of truce. So I think that might have actually had a bit of impact on oil prices this morning. We move to Asian stocks. Asian markets were mixed in trading today. The Shanghai Composite Index in China, that was down by about 96 basis points. You're also seeing the Hang Seng down as well, about 56 basis points. But in Korea and the Nikkei 225 in Japan, heading upwards. We're going to get a flurry of data coming from Asia this week. Q3 GDP data from India, industrial production from China, Singapore very quickly. Singapore inflation coming out this morning, falling to a 3-year low. We haven't seen headline inflation in Singapore below 2% since March of 2021. October figure 1.4%. The forecast for 1.8, September was 2%. Core inflation at 2%. September was 2.8. And just to remind everybody, on Friday, the Global Business Report, we went over GDP figures for Singapore. So GDP, if you look at the GDP, you hopefully have the figures for Singapore that came out on Friday, just to add to the inflation numbers, 5.4%. Prior quarter was revised to 3%. So basically, Singapore is on, and in fact, by the way, the government has also improved its forecast GDP growth full year for Singapore to between 2 to 3.5%. Initially, that forecast was 2 to 3%. So basically, what you have in Singapore, you've got GDP, economy is expanding, inflation is coming down, people have more money in their pockets, and it bodes well for one of the Asian tigers. Let's get to the biggest news coming out of Europe this morning. It involves Italy. Unicredit, which is the second largest bank in Italy, has made a bid to buy Banco BPM, which is the third largest bank in Italy. It's a 10 billion euro deal. Stock, so they're going to be offering shares for that, about 0.175 Unicredit shares for every BPM share. It comes out to about 6.67 euros a share, and if you look at the closing price on Friday, it's at a 0.4% premium. We'll see whether they accept it. In case you're wondering, Inesto Sao Paulo is the biggest bank in Italy. Between them, they rank about 27, 28, 29 when you talk about the biggest banks in the world. Don't forget, Unicredit did make an offer to buy Commerzbank in Germany, but it looks like regulators are not, they're frowning upon that, so they are pivoting now to expand their footprint in Europe by making a play for Banco BPM. To United States, Adefemi Akisaya, of course, also an award winner this past weekend. Congrats to her. Talked about Trump's cabinet picks. Business purposes, we're going to focus on Scott Bessent, who is Trump's pick for the Treasury Secretary. He's a billionaire. I understand that Trump wanted somebody who makes a lot of money. So this man is a billionaire. He's a Wall Street veteran. He ran hedge funds. He worked with George Soros. Rufai always talks a lot about how George Soros broke the Bank of England, years ago with the whole currency thing. So he used to work for George Soros. He favors tax cuts. He says, well, as far as tariffs are concerned, they should be gradual, and he wants to reduce the U.S. government debt. Now, here's the conundrum. you want to reduce government debt in the US, and I know Rufai talks about this, but you want to cut taxes at the same time. So you're reducing US income and you want to reduce debt. So we'll see how that works out. That's Scott Bessent, who is Trump's pick. And the markets kind of liked the pick because he's a nod to Wall Street. He's more of since he's worked with people like Soros, who is a liberal, he's seen as somebody who is more middle of the road. Finally, as I mentioned, we got business behind me here. We're coming to Nigeria now, and interest rates are going to be affecting every that you're seeing around me. For everybody is making deliveries and so on and so forth. The MPC meeting meets today and tomorrow. The CBN put out a tweet to that effect. So we will get that decision, which is expected to, again, I always say this, I don't know, like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I always pick a hold, but they continue to hike. The central bank has continued to remain hawkish because of where inflation is. We have our chart. We're going to update this chart, which is Nigeria's MPC against inflation. You can see the trajectory of inflation. We have to update that chart to show you the latest numbers from October, 33.88. And then, of course, you got the 27.25. So, look, maybe I'll just go with another hike of 25 basis points, but that's our updates for today, this Monday morning.
I mean, I also support you, Rotus, on the position of a hike. Probably it might be a 27.5 at the end when their results finally come up. But my fear is this. February next year is going to make it 1 year. We've been tightening in the market and we were pushing these hikes, and we are still seeing inflation going up. By now, based on the projection, inflation should be trending downward to the 20-something percent percentile. They said we're supposed to hit the high cliff of an inflation when it topped over 34%. Today we are 33.8. We are going up there again. So what went wrong with the parameters? Also, Rotus, as a very middle ground person like me, let's laugh at the hypocrisy of the conservatives with the Trump pick. An openly gay man, also a man that worked for George Soros. You know how much the right hates George Soros. In fact, they see George Soros as the Antichrist. But Trump, a core right-winger, is picking somebody that worked for the Antichrist like George Soros. You can see the hypocrisy to top that openly gay person. But also, he's also talking about the fact that they want to cut taxes. You want to cut taxes, you want to pay up your budget deficits, you want to raise revenue at the same time. And at the same time, you also want to increase tariffs. Tariffs that are problematic. But anyway, I'm happy that Scott Bessent is saying that, hey, this tariff thing might not be as much as Trump says it. It's going to be based on negotiation. But whatever it is, it's going to be a phony economic formula. Already, the experts, Nobel laureates, have said that Trump's policy was going to add close to 7 to 8 trillion to the deficit. Kamala's plan was going to add about 4 trillion to the deficit. So America should be ready for an increase in the deficit. Furthermore, Trump also wants a full control over Fed. He's going to have a lot of problems with Jake Powell as regards that. But the truth is, he wants as much as possible control. So I don't know how the economic theory is going to go. But, you know, for the conservatives, I'm laughing at your hypocrisy today. For the Christian evangelicals, I think you should not allow this sail through because he's gay now.
All right, okay. Let me come back home to Nigeria and the MPC meeting which starts today, the last for this year, and analysts are forecasting between a 25 to 50 basis point hike in interest rates. Now, of course, there are pros and cons. For the CBN, they have a tough decision. They want to tame inflation, but also they must also look at the economic impact of rate hikes. Of course, we've talked about the impact on businesses, small businesses, access to loans, which already had been a bit difficult for a number of small businesses, and now it's going to be even more difficult. The impact on economic activity, it's going to reduce spending in the economy. Some people are concerned about even a recession. But the focus of the CBN, and the CBN governor has reiterated this a number of times, is to tame inflation to a very large extent. So maybe just to help people prepare for what the outcome of the MPC would be, this is a great time to save. It's a great time to invest in, as you always advocate, Rotus, Treasury bills. Invest. The yields and the returns are high at this time, so it's important to look into that. For a number of people who have money in their savings account, you would notice that at the end of the month, you get a decent amount of money coming as interest. So it's important at this point, maybe to just hold on to your money, save as much as it's a good time to save, a good time to invest in treasury bills, in the money market, and just ensure that you protect yourself against the shocks. For small businesses, we still make that call for the government to provide some sort of cushion for businesses who might not be able to afford loans, because what we want to avoid as well is, workers layoff and businesses not being able to afford to keep on their workers, and we then have a crisis on our hands with unemployment numbers. So these are some of the things you can begin to plan ahead of, because it's almost very likely that we're going to see a hike in interest rates. It's the points that we're not very sure of. 25 to 50 is what a lot of analysts have said. But we look forward to tomorrow's decision.
Okay, let me start from the United States. Earlier on, we discussed with Adefemi Akinsanya, now that Trump has appointed, about 15 nominees. And I said that, look, he seems to have put MAGA crowd, those who are loyal to him, with a sprinkling of old political rivals. But generally, it's a controversial list with some of the personalities there. And also, the fear is that Trump may have put together a team of yes men and yes women, where only one man in the room is the one who knows it all. That's a big threat, to the future of the United States, which is the largest democracy, on this side of the planet. Now, the second thing is the fact that Scott Bessent, which is what Rufai was talking about, well, let's leave the morality side to it. Is it possible that the reason what recommends Scott Bessent is that fact you pointed out, that is a middle of road person. And that is why the reaction of the market to him has been very positive. They see him as a man, who will be okay. I mean, the stocks are doing well now. The yields have also done well on the news of, Scott Bessent's peak. Yes, like Trump too, in terms of ideas, he believes in tariffs, he believes in deregulation. And that's why I brought up the point that I hope he's not just collecting yes men all over the place so that he can just do what he likes. The second thing is Thanksgiving week in the United States. On Thursday is Thanksgiving. So the markets are going to be a bit light, this week as Americans prepare for Thanksgiving from Thursday. Now, again, all the major indexes in the US did well on Friday. NVIDIA went down, ironically, by about 1.5%. Alphabet also went down, but all the major indexes from Dow Jones to the S&P 500 and NASDAQ Composite did, basically well. You were talking about Asia. Yes, it's a week of data. You left out China's industrial data, which is also expected. Singapore, the economists are saying maybe Singapore will come in inflation rate at about 1.4%. And that 1.8%, down from 2% in September, October reading 1.8. If they get it right, then that will be the lowest rate since March 2021 in that country. India, GDP third quarter number is also expected. South Korea is also, going to come up with inflation figures. And on Friday, it will be Japan giving us figures. As for MPC of Nigeria, I beg, what else should we say? Inflation is going down in other parts of the world. It's going up here. But economists talk about what they call the ratchet effect. Where that ratchet effect will stop remains to be seen. But in any case, we'll see what happens with their continual tightening. Thank you very much, Rotus.